Hello everyone! Today we're going to be jumping back into Historic Brawl with Satoru Umezawa and turning all of our huge creatures into ninjas. Now, whenever we activate a ninjutsu ability with Satoru on the battlefield, we'll also get to look at the top 3 cards of our library, put one of them in our hand and the rest on the bottom of our library in a random order. We can only do that once per turn, but the more important ability here is each creature card in our hand is going to have ninjutsu for 1 blue and black mana. So for 3 mana, we can get some insane creatures into play. And we could do this as early as turn 3. So let's talk a little bit about what we have. This deck is pretty much made up of 2 parts. Part 1 is our unblockable creatures, things that will guarantee no blocks. So we have things like Mistcloaked Herald, we've got the Invisible Stalker, right? And a bunch of other creatures that can't be blocked. Futurist Operative has the added bonus of also being a good blocker for us while it's on the battlefield if we don't want to attack. And then, of course, we have our huge creature threats, from the Eldrazi with Emrakul, Ulamog, and Kozilek, to some of the Praetors. We've got Jin-Gitaxias, the other Jin-Gitaxias. We have Toxrill, which is going to be insane, acting as kind of a board wipe for us as well. Same thing here with Massacre Worm. We've got Card Draw. We've got pretty much anything you can want out of all these potential game-winning threats. Now, the only other thing besides those creatures that we have in the deck is a couple of value cards in the middle. So we have things like Fire Xene Arena for extra cards, we have Tutors and Grim Tutor and Diabolic Intent, we have a couple of removal spells, some counter spells, and things like that as well. Our mana base is a solid Dimir mana base with access to a whole bunch of different mana sources for us. Now, if you guys have been enjoying my content so far, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, right off the bat, this looks like a pretty decent hand. We're going to go ahead and keep. We have 2 unblockable creatures, 2 big threats. We're going to go ahead and start with blue and get our operative into play. Tenacious Pup, that's fine. Move to combat, we're going to swing for that unblockable 1 damage. And then play out Invisible Stalker. Next turn, we'll be able to play out our commander. Nice. No blocks. Alright, we're going to go Labyrinth, play out our commander. Swing in for 2 damage. Now we're gonna have our first big choice. Okay, yep. Opponent is playing a werewolf deck. I think we're gonna want to go for Villas. So let's move to combat. Swing with both of these. Blockers. No blocks. Let's go ahead and get Villas. Take a look at what we've got here. I think we're just going to grab a land. We have plenty of big creatures. Villas out on the battlefield, and that's a ton of damage for us this turn. We still have our Invisible Stalker, so that's going to put us in a great spot. Okay, opponent plays out their commander. That's fine. Yep, and they get some damage. Yep, drawing some extra cards. Thanks, Villas. Okay, it looks like we can get Kozilek out next turn. That should be absolutely insane. I'm gonna go ahead and move to combat. Swing like this. Kozilek. And we've got it, alright. Alright, so here we are playing up against a Corrupt Sheriff. This looks like a pretty decent opening hand. I don't mind this, though I do think we are going to take a mulligan. This isn't too much better. Let's mulligan one more time, and then we'll go ahead and keep this. I'm going to bottom the Diabolic Intent. So we are going to be playing a little slower. Let's start here. Spectral Sailor has Flash, so we'll wait till the end of our opponent's turn. Being careful of those second spell triggers. Okay, pre-Kite Sail, let's just flash in the Spectral Sailor. My guess is they're gonna take B Spell Dancer here, but maybe they take Shore Up. That's fine. Let's see. We do have the Swamp for that, so that'll enter untap next turn. Let's go with the Spell Dancer. No need to attack. End the turn. It's gonna make our way towards getting Kozilek out onto the battlefield. Sure, Selfless Savior, that's fine. Yeah, no blocks here. Okay, playing out our commander. Move to combat. Get our damage. So next turn, provided our opponent doesn't have the removal here, we are going to have Kozilek out onto the battlefield. It's going to be awesome for us. It's also going to give us the ability to discard and counter things. Sure, Selfless Spirit. That's not a removal spell for us, and Bankbuster, alright. Things are looking pretty good. Yeah, no blocks. Alright, so now it's Kozilek's turn to shine. We're gonna go ahead, attack here. Go to blockers. There are none. Ninjutsu here. Okay, let's grab a card. Alright, interesting choice. We're gonna take Villas. Alright, well, there's 12 damage. Things are looking pretty good for us. And we'll just play out the Operative. Now, notably, this doesn't count as casting 2 spells, as this was an ability here, so our opponent isn't going to get their trigger off their commander. Plus, now we have 2 2-mana spells that we can discard to counter. So that's going to be good against a lot of the removal that our opponent would be running. A lot of that, the black removal, falls in that 2-mana slot. Plus, we have an unblockable creature to get Villas in next turn, so that's a guaranteed 8. Let's see. So we just have to go ahead and let that happen. Goodbye, Kozilek. We'll gain a bunch of life. Alright, things are looking pretty good. Let's move to combat. Swing out with the Operative. Go to blockers. Opponent notably cannot block. Okay. Let's go grab ourselves a Villas. Take a look at our top 3. We'll be able to replay the Operative. Sure, yep, drawing a card, looking for something. And we've got it, alright. Alright, our opponent's going first. Now, we do have Dark Ritual here, which is actually pretty cool for us. I like having an early wash away for Chatterfang as well. I think we're gonna keep. Gonna start with a Command Tower. Alright, Priest of the Forgotten Gods, that's fine. We find ourselves a Kozilek here. I think we're just gonna play Castle Vantress tapped. We still have our wash away for Chatterfang this turn. Goodbye. Yep, we'll take that damage, that's fine. Here, we're gonna go Dark Ritual. I'm gonna get our commander into play. And we're gonna play out the Order of Midnight. This is just so we can have an evasive creature, so we can get our Kozilek out onto the battlefield next turn. Fingers crossed, our opponent's not gonna be able to deal with our commander here. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. We'll see if they decide to keep playing after we smack them for 12 with Kozilek. Go ahead, play out a Fabled Passage, move to combat. We can actually attack with both here. go ninjutsu, back in the hand. What do I want? I think we'll just take another land for next turn. And we'll go ahead and end right here. Yep. Looking good. I think maybe we're gonna see Chatterfang. Our opponent might be conceding, too. Who knows? We do have that emote, though. Okay, yep, Cal's Blood Mage. They'll have us sacrifice something. Honestly, I think we just sacrifice our commander here. When they do that, because they'll have to double block to deal with the Kozilek. Yep. Back in the command zone. Sure. We'll get Inquisitioned here. Interesting, they take the Murderous Rider. We can always get it back with Order of Midnight, so that's not really an issue. Let's go crack this. We already have a blue land, so let's grab a black land. And we're gonna start by moving to combat, swing out. We've got our opponent down at 1. Honestly, I think we're just gonna go ahead and play out our Wind Robber here. And play out our Order of Midnight here. We'll just go ahead and end the turn. We're in a pretty strong position here. Our opponent's definitely going to have to deal with multiple threats. Yep. Think we've got it. Yeah, Chatterfang does not do it for him. And we've got it. Alright, opponent goes first. This does look pretty good for us, though. So let's go ahead and keep. We've got a small, semi-evasive attacker with flying. They got some big creatures. Everything looks pretty good. Let's reveal our island. Play out the Artificer's Assistant. Next turn, we can hold up Memory Lapse. Playing up against Radagast. Opponent is on a mono green deck, so we do have to look out for all of their ramping. Do we want Memory Lapse this turn, or do we just want to play out the Spell Dancer? I think we're going to hold up Memory Lapse. Our opponent's going to have access to 4 mana. If we Memory Lapse their commander, that's going to be strong. Nick those, alright. Oh yeah, Guardian Project, perfect. Yep, 4 mana spell, put it on top of their library. Puts us in a really good spot. Let's go ahead, play our commander. Scry 1. Villas is a perfect draw. I would love to replace our little assistant with Villas. Guardian Project, sure. Alright, move to combat. Okay, ninjutsu at Villas. Top 3, let's just grab another land. And we'll replay our assistant. We are presenting lethal on board, so our opponent's definitely going to need something kind of crazy on this turn. They certainly have to deal with Villas. And of course we have some big creatures to pull out next turn as well. Yeah, I'm not thinking Radagast is going to do it. Yep, we will get it on Ninjutsu here. Ninjutsu with Jin Gitaxias is probably going to be more fun though, so let's go ahead and move to combat. We'll swing with everything. Yep. Let's go ahead and ninjutsu in our Jin Gitaxias. Grab ourselves Cityscape Leveler. And we've got it. Alright, on the play this time, playing into Kemba. This looks pretty good. 3 lands, unblockable creature, big threats. I think we're in a pretty good spot. So turn 1, I think we go for the Slither Blade, then we'll hold up Negate on turn 2. Play out our commander. I think we're gonna want to go for Toxrill, but we'll see. Shieldred is also very strong. Start with the Slither Blade. Okay. Very fun. Making some of their equipment a little bit better. Alright. No reason not to attack here. Pass the turn, holds up Negate. Negate's gonna be great for countering an equipment spell. I think our opponent's gonna rather go for equipment than try and play out Kemba into a counterspell. Yeah, I mean, sure. We'll just counter that. That's fine. Our opponent wasn't going to cast anything else this turn. They get to hit us for free for 2. Play out the Plaza. Attack. Alright, next turn's the big one for us. I think ideally they're going to play out Kemba here. If they do, I think we go Toxrill. Toxrill will replace Slither Blade. Worst case scenario, they have removal for our commander. Which they do not, from the looks of it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this puts us in a really great spot. So we'll see if we have it after this. We're gonna go ahead and move to combat, swing out like this. And we're gonna go for Toxrill. Grab the Slither Blade back. Gonna grab a blue land. Replay our Slither Blade and pass the turn. Opponent's board is nice and clear. Now, not to mention, with Toxrill, we do have another 1/1 slug, so we have multiple options for creatures that won't be blocked. Next turn, I think we're going to want to go Shieldred. Okay, sure. Probably going to play out their commander as well. No, they'll equip instead. That's fine. We can go Meteor Golem to kill it, but I don't really see a reason to do that. Let's instead move to combat, and we've got it! Alright! Okay, our opponent goes first, but this looks like a pretty good hand for us. They've got Slither Blade, we'll get to 3 mana with Arcane Signet even if we don't hit our land drop, but we will. So let's just play out our Slither Blade here. Playing it against Gandalf the White, so we're looking at an artifact ETB kind of deck. Opponent is likely going to be able to deal with some of our threats, yep. Okay, we're going to go Arcane Signet here. Okay, opponent also plays out an Arcane Signet. And a Mind Stone. So that is some solid ramp. Let's play out Satoru. Now, the good news here is our opponent has access to 5 mana, and we're going to do a very funny thing this turn. Let's go ahead and attack. Opponent flashes out Gandalf. We're going to go ahead and counter that. Our opponent has no mana now. I think we want Jin-Gitaxi's Progress Tyrant here more than we want Primal Tide. And we're going to put our commander in our hand. We've got it. Alright. Okay, everyone, so as we saw, we get a ton of value out of this commander. I mean, as early as turn 4, we're consistently able to get a huge threat onto the battlefield, which is going to be so hard for our opponent to deal with, not to mention that we do have that toolbox-like effect being able to pick the creature that we ninjutsu in, so we can choose something that's best suited for our opponent's deck, or something that's just a large hitter so we can lay on that aggro. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you have any ideas for another deck that you'd like to see me play, why don't you let me know in a comment down below. I'll see you all next time.